the original Season 4, Episode 9, Queen Death. Definitely an interesting episode. They gave me a bit of a scare at the end because I'm like, this doesn't, with what they did with Elijah, I'm like, this can't actually be how this plays out, where he dies in such a crazy way, where especially it's one of those things where if he had died, it would have been, we got this plan and we have this plan and then everything starts falling apart. But it was definitely a good episode. I really enjoyed the way things were playing out, where, of course, it starts off where is Elijah, so things instantly are weird because of that. And then, they have the kind of, the allegiances in this season I think are really well done. It's always a weird back and forth in this show, but this one is like, everyone's on the same side because of this evil that's really just kind of waiting to destroy literally everything. But at the same time, there's still all this tension. You have all this stuff going on with Vincent and the originals going, him going against them, or at least kind of wanting to because he hates them so much, and their issues of trust with him, and then of course the originals' trust with Marcel after naturally the last season and the past 5 years. And it's just a lot of cool stuff going on where it's like you have all these people working together, and there's a lot of issues in there, but ultimately it always comes down to, we gotta take out, like any TV show, when you have characters that don't like each other, there's always that outside threat that's always bigger. That's just how television works. So it's like, well, we have to work together. And I really like the way this episode kind of touched on that continuously. Like you have, the very beginning when they're looking for Elijah, Klaus goes to Marcel and he assumes, his first thought at least, is that Marcel did something to Elijah. And once he realizes that's not the case, it's like, alright, well, the Hollow definitely has Elijah, so we need to figure out how to stop this thing. And then the plan is to use Vincent. And then the first thing Klaus says is like, I don't trust him. And it's like, Marcel has to say, like, he's worked with me for the past 5 years, even though they brought this up in numerous episodes where Vincent's mentioned, worked with you, but still don't really like you, that sort of thing. But they have to realize how they, need to work together. And Vincent is freaking out because it's like, you guys don't seem to understand. There is no, he's talking about like loopholes and how, once again, TV, where it's like, we have to do these plans, which are ultimately just going to delay the inevitable. And it was really well done. I really like that element to this episode with the faulty allegiances a little bit, and then going through kind of the typical plan, like we have this idea for the ultimate evil, although the evil itself has told us there's no other way out of it. We can find, we have to find some sort of loophole. And I thought it was cool that they brought that up, because that's, especially in supernatural stuff, that's always the way it goes, where it's like, it's always this permanent thing, and then poof, there's a new answer. So I love the fact that they kind of touched on that a little bit, especially considering they've done it before, where the last time they didn't find a loophole, like when it was with Davina. And I thought it was really well done that he brought that up, where it really wasn't like just the element of them killing Davina, but it was like, this is more, it has much less to do with me kind of hating all you guys, and it has a lot more to do with the fact that we tried it before, and at this point we're doing the exact same thing and just delaying the inevitable on, potentially an even worse scale. So I like that they touched on all those elements, and of course everyone does ultimately end up working together, and it seems like it's going really well too. Like I was kind of enjoying this because like they have their issue. They go through, they actually come up with, kind of a two-tiered plan with Marcel going in with the knife to save Sofya, and then they have Klaus actually deciding to like do the pseudo-sacrifice for himself, so he goes into the necklace, and Vincent helping him out, and things seem to be going fine, and of course, they end up falling apart because Vincent and Klaus, I guess I can't really say they get ambushed because the guys don't jump them, but they kind of say like, hey, don't do it or we'll kill the woman that you care about. Naturally, that fails and all three of those guys die, but they do end up burning the vines, which stops them from channeling Klaus's like pseudo-death into, stopping the Hollow. So it was very well done, the way that they did it. That falls apart, and Marcel gets like taken down, so, that was pretty crazy. And I was like, alright, well, that's freaking nuts. And I would have to assume that he and Sofya are definitely going to be fine in some way, shape, or form. So I'm not too worried about that, because typically if someone doesn't get stabbed, even when it's magic based and it's supposed to be like a permadeath magic thing, there's always a way to reverse it. But when people get stabbed, I'm like, alright, that always reverts to like the most classic of classic things, where it's like, oh, you were stabbed, that's pretty much all there is to it. But for some reason, whenever it's just some invisible spell or something, it's like there's always a way to reverse it, or it's just not permanent in general. So I'm sure both of them will be fine. It was interesting the way they did it with Sofya, where she gets stabbed and she's kind of taken out, and it seemed like it was permanent after just the way things played out, where the hollow wasn't stopped like it should have been. So it makes me wonder if she was like officially killed because of how that was supposed to play out. But I would assume not, because the knife was just really meant to kind of wound her and help them separate the hollow from her. So I'm sure she will ultimately be fine. But interesting way to end it with their characters, and then of course what they end up doing with Elijah, where it's like, crap, is he actually about to die? They go through their whole plan, or at least their secondary plan, to try to save him, and it still doesn't work because of course the hollow shows up and it's getting what it wants. It's using Elijah's body, and it's not its, but his life force as that final piece of the puzzle to basically break out. And it was very interesting because it was clear that she didn't use it on Marcel, and that's one of the things where it's like, okay, because it looked like he died, but it was clear that it was, because she used her hand. I was like, okay, well, she's clearly not, she didn't decide to switch from Elijah to Marcel and use his life force, so it's definitely temporary, like that he was out. So she goes in, she's there with Elijah, and, like, things are falling apart in front of everybody. It's like, this is not going to work, there's nothing we can do. And they still decide to use the necklace at the last minute. And fortunately, it does end up working because, at first it seems like all hope is lost, that he was definitely dead. And then there's no pun in that, but hope does end up coming in. And of course, because she's like unbelievably supercharged, whenever they need some random spell work, she comes in and just lays her hand on Fred and is like, boom, we got him, like he's alive. So I was like, alright, well, that's definitely a great sign. And the next episode, which I believe is 2 weeks, I believe June 2nd is 2 weeks from now, that's where we get to see at least Haley. I'm pretty sure they showed both Klaus and Haley going into, it made me think of The Matrix Reloaded. I don't know, for those of you who may not have seen it, there's this part where they go in this room and it's just a long room of doors. It made me think of that, except everything was white. In The Matrix, all the doors are green, and in this, everything was white, except for that one red door. So I'm kind of excited for them to go back to that element. And of course, the way it started off, we see, I'm pretty sure it was Elijah. It was either Elijah or, of course, Michael. But it was one of them dressed up like real old style. So it was like, we're definitely going back to some of the worst moments that he's experienced. And we're going to see him kind of jumping through time. So that should be exciting as well, where he's, reliving his memories, but they're going to interject themselves in there. So that should be interesting to see as well. And of course, that means we're going to see a lot of different costumes and, the different time periods. It would be cool if we got, depending on how they decide to do it, if we got certain memories where, of course, Rebecca and Cole and Finn ended up showing up. I always love when they do that, where it's like, poof, here they are for like one episode or something. So maybe we'll get to see that. I kind of doubt it, but it would just be a nice little touch if they were, kind of able to just call the actors back in for an episode or so. But I'm excited for the next one. I think they definitely did a good job. I was certainly glad in the end, because I was like, crap. It's been kind of, for me at least, for my shows, it's been kind of a death wave going on for like the past couple weeks, where people have just been like dying. So I was like, it would be great if we did have another person get killed off, another main character. So I was very happy to see that. Specifically, CW itself has been killing, a lot of people have just been dying. It's not the company, obviously, it's the writers. But it's like a bunch of people have been dying in the past couple of weeks for my shows. I'm like, it would be great if this was not another episode where I had to see somebody die. So very happy that that didn't end up happening, like to end out my week, like, oh, that's like 4 deaths in total. So that was great to not have that happen. But really good episode, excited for the next one. Sadly, we do have to wait our 2 weeks. I don't know why they're doing that, so I'm sure something random is coming on next week, unless Rain is getting like a 2-hour finale or something, because I know that's in its last season, but I don't watch that show. But I'm excited for the next episode, of course. We'd love to know what you guys thought about this one, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, least favorite parts. And I definitely want to know, of course, by the time we get to the end of this episode, we do see, as I figured from the very beginning, the physical manifestation of the hollow does end up bursting out of the tree. We have the actual person back. Now that she's alive, what's going to happen next? Because it seems like at this point, she's just going to wipe everybody out. I don't really see any other sort of grand scheme, but we're still early in the season. We might end up finding a whole new plan that she's always had. Like, I can't bring myself back, or I can't do this unless I'm like in my physical body again at full power. So I feel like there's some new level. It could have just been that she wanted to come back and kill everybody. Could have been something else. Maybe she wants revenge on Haley and Hope just because they're the last of her bloodline. But it's hard to say. So I would love to know your theories on what the next step is going to be for this villain. Is it just going to be kind of mass chaos, kill everybody sort of thing? Or is there another step? Because now that she doesn't need any more sacrifices, she's at full power. What's left outside of control? So I have to assume it's just going to be wipe out anyone else who's even able to take her out. But they'll find some way to delay that because it's a TV show and they can't do that too early. So I'm excited for it, but would love to know your theories on it. And like I said, of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.